A lot of people have tight pectoralis minor muscles, but never know it. That's because you almost never feel pain in them, but they can cause problems. And one of the problems they can cause is numb fingers, but I'm going to talk about some of the other problems they can cause, because even if they're not causing numbness in your hands, be aware of some of these other things that can be caused by the pectoralis minor muscle. And it attaches from a little point under your collarbone, which you may or may not be able to feel like a marble at the very end. It's not important that you find that. The other parts I'll show you how to find later. But it goes from here down to the third, fourth, and fifth rib. And because it's attached to this little knobby right there, which is actually part of your shoulder blade, when it's tight, it pulls your shoulder blade forward. So people with rounded shoulders, pectoralis minor problem. If you see shoulder blades winging out, pectoralis minor problem. If you have burning sensation in between your shoulder blades, it's because these pectoralis minors are pulling your shoulders forward, and these poor muscles between your shoulder blades have to work hard all the time to pull them back, whereas these muscles in the front are bullies and pull them forward. So that's one of the things it can do. But people can have different problems from the same muscle. So regarding numb hands, you can have numb fingers that can mimic carpal tunnel, or you can have numb fingers in the two little fingers or the whole hand. And if the pectoralis minor muscle is causing your numbness in your hand, it's fairly easy to figure it out, because if you raise your arms and slowly move your hands up and down, and if you do that for like 3 minutes and you've got numbness or burning in your hands, forearms, that's pectoralis minor muscle. If you don't, it's not causing your numbness. But when it's tight, it can also pinch on not only the nerves going down your arm, but also the blood supply, the artery that goes down your arm. So it can cause weakness, it can cause cold fingers, and there are also trigger points in the muscles that can refer pain, and they can refer pain to the chest, they can refer pain to the shoulder, they can refer pain down the inside of the arm, inside of the forearm. They can create weakness and burning sensations. So a lot of mischief caused by these muscles. So what causes it to get tight? Well, there's a number of different factors. First of all, we work in front of our bodies. If you're hunched over a workstation a lot, you know, your pectoralis minor is going to shorten and get tight, and it doesn't have to work hard anymore once it gets tight and shortened. But also doing things like push-ups, bench presses, whatever is what the pectoralis minor does. But also it's connected to 3 different ribs, the third, fourth, and fifth ribs. So people with anxiety and holding their chest tight, people who are breathing hard and hyperventilating, if you're wearing a shoulder bag that's heavy and you're holding your shoulder up, like I said, a number of things, and most people don't realize that muscle is tight. Another thing it can cause, if you're having chest pains, the pectoralis minor, the pectoralis major, or the scalenes can cause a false angina, false heart attack. So if you're having chest pains, of course get it checked out. But if you go to the emergency room and they say, well, there's nothing wrong, and you get chest pains again, you go to the emergency room, which happens to people, you know, there's nothing there. It could be from these muscles, but again, you want to have any pain like that checked out. But be aware that the muscles in the front of your neck, these muscles, the chest muscles, can cause those type of problems. Now, it's a real easy muscle to work on. The hard part for people is finding it. It goes from this little knobby here under your collarbone, which you don't have to worry about finding it because it's small like a marble. But the part of the biceps also attached there too. There's two heads to the biceps, and one of them attaches there. So it can also feel like it's causing bicep problems. Finding it. It's underneath the pectoralis minor muscle here, which is this big, thick muscle, and underneath it, you want to press hard to find it. You don't want to press hard at first to work on it, because this muscle can be pretty painful in some people at first. And if you're in the right spot, it'll either be pretty tender, or it should be pretty tender if it's tight. But if you move your arm up and down, you'll feel the muscle on the ribs. It's on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rib, so you want to feel it on 3 different ribs. And then you can massage it by either holding onto it and moving your arm up and down, or going up and down this way. And people go, oh, it doesn't hurt there, it doesn't hurt. No, if you find it, it can be extremely tender to the point of pain. So people go, oh, I don't want to work on it. Well, go lighter. You're the one doing the pressure. And this muscle is fairly easy to get it untightened. But maybe you only want to work on it a half a minute at a time on each side. But it loosens. And if you work on this thing a couple times a day, at least, and work at a pressure that's tolerable, that muscle's going to loosen. And once that tenderness goes away, you can just every once in a while feel, oh, is it still tender? Okay, I'll work on it a little bit more. But generally, once you get that tenderness out, if that's causing your numb hands, bingo, no problem. And for a lot of people, the relief is almost instantaneous after a couple massages on it, massages yourself. And this is why people say, well, you know, I'll go to a massage therapist. No, you don't want to do that. Well, if you do that, it's not just for this, because half a minute at a time, and usually a massage therapist will work on the top, which you don't have a lot of leverage here to do that. Just working underneath and doing this is fine. And you get better results by massaging it yourself than you do by stretching it. It's not an easy muscle to stretch. I show some stretches in the second section, but again, you can work this out just by massaging it. Again, even when I show people when they're right in front of me, this is where it is, they have a hard time finding it, but feel around, push hard. If you just touch it, you're not going to feel anything. Just pull hard, and if it's painful to do that, you got bingo, right spot, then lighten up and work at the light pressure. And usually in a few days, unless it's severely tight, you can get that loosened up so that it's not tender anymore at all.